and welcome to episode number 36 of the Koob Superhero Movie Reviews podcast. I'm Kia, your host. With me on the show today is Emerson,
Hey, what's up?
and Everett is blowing us off for his girlfriend. You could reach us at theironcoop@gmail.com and on Instagram at theironcoop. If you enjoy the show, please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and most importantly, review our podcast on iTunes so that we can spread the show around. This week, the team reviews The Phantom Thread, Daniel Day-Lewis's apparent last film, and more movie, television, and video game news. I kind of lost my voice coaching a tournament, so if I sound raspy, I apologize. So let's quickly give our grades for Phantom Thread because I don't have a whole lot to say about it. What did you rate that movie?
I said B plus. It seemed good. It's not the type of movie I usually go to, but it seemed like a decent movie.
B plus. Um, I was gonna give it an A about 2/3 of the way, and then the third act kind of dropped it for me, and I'm gonna give it a B, sort of hovering around a B minus. Basically, this movie's a big deal because it's Daniel Day Lewis's last movie, so you expect that it's gonna be a, his best performance or whatever. But he actually said that it was his last performance after the movie was done, so it kind of makes you wonder: did he not enjoy making this one? Or was it
Yeah,
so good that he was sort of, was he just like, I'm done now? Is this like Last of the Mohicans or There Will Be Blood or Gangs of New York? Or is it more forgettable? For me, this is one of the more forgettable movies.
yeah. I mean, I like the twists, but not amazing.
Yeah. I just feel like I could have gone the rest of my life without having seen this movie, and I don't think it would have mattered.
Yeah,
Unlike
yeah.
some of the others where his performances will rock you a little bit. Um, they're so memorable. Um, yeah, so at the beginning of this movie, I was thinking, okay, Daniel Day Lewis, he's almost so good that he distracts you from the movie
Mhm.
because he's so into it, and it's odd because no one else is behaving like him. No one else is like in the moment as much, so it's a
Right.
little weird. And then I think as the movie went on, that feeling sort of went away. Maybe I got used to him. Um, but so we had a lot of this is a movie where a lot of people will just stare at each other,
Yeah, there's
and
not so
so you
much
have to
happening.
yeah, you have to be in the mood for a movie like that. I like that kind of stuff, but even for me, about 2/3 of the way in, I was like, okay. And then I
Yeah,
thought the movie was going to end a couple times, and it
yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
And it like kept going. And so basically for me, I do recommend the movie, but as I was sitting there, I thought I like how this is being built up. I like the execution, and I'm excited to see where this is going. And then once I started to see where it was going, I wasn't that into it. And other people, their mileage may vary, but it sounds like you sort of had the same feeling.
Yeah, so I enjoyed, and I'm gonna go into some spoilers here if that's okay.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
let's go.
But so I liked how we saw that he's super hard to please. He's very eccentric, very demanding, kind of an asshole. And then
Yeah.
we're introduced to the love interest, and we're kind of gonna see how it's gonna go because we start the movie seeing the tail end of another girl, and so then
Uh
we
huh.
had the idea we were gonna see it build to that point. I liked that, and then
Right.
when she poisons him, I was like, oh god, but then there was a period after the first poisoning where she just kind of like, and the second it drags on.
Yeah. When she poisoned them the first time, it was just strange because the movie didn't seem to be heading in that direction,
Uh-huh.
and she didn't really give off any vibes of like, I need you so desperately that if you even start to let go, this is like the real world equivalent of a woman pretending or trying to get pregnant to save a relationship, right?
Yeah, who would do that?
She didn't seem like that kind of hysterical woman. And then instead, it's not the pregnancy thing. It's poisoning the guy. Doesn't really make sense. Like the logic. I didn't get
Well, I
that.
guess because like he becomes vulnerable, and then she's able to take care of him, which makes him fall back in love. I guess.
Yeah, but wasn't didn't she say that he does that when he sort of delivers a project, a dress, and then he needs like time to recover, and that's when he's all vulnerable and they like cuddle and all that.
It seems like it, but I got the impression that she was forcing that stage.
Well, she forced it by with the poison, right?
Yeah.
But before that, when he delivered that first dress, he was totally, he was in the bed, all curled up, and she came and joined him. It seems like she liked that, and the movie tells you that the way to get there is by him delivering the dress. Like she says that,
Hmm.
and then it's like the poison thing is, how do we know that that's where it was going to lead to? I don't really know. Like it didn't say specifically before the first poisoning how much would kill him and how much would, I thought she was trying to kill him,
Yeah.
right? By the way, how creepy was it when his mom showed up, the ghost?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's behind the door.
I hated that. That shit creeps me out. Like I wasn't scared, but it like it turns my stomach. I don't know why. I just
Well,
don't like that stuff.
I was
The
wondering
wish,
when I was watching that.
yeah,
I was wondering if it was gonna turn into a horror movie for a second, because I didn't like
yeah.
how she was just looking at him. I was wondering if she was gonna like jump at him or become deformed.
I was also thinking that, and I was very interested to see if it would go that route, just because I thought that that could get very interesting given the character that he was,
Hmm.
and so him dealing with ghosts. I thought that would be a very, very interesting path to go down, and it would have thrown the audience for a loop. Instead, they went almost in a way that was almost as absurd. It wasn't supernatural, but it's just a stupid idea that they're gonna keep poisoning him so
Yeah.
that he stays in love because anyone could take care of him. Doesn't have to be her.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I
I
mean, I
think
guess
that there's a break in the logic there.
you could also take it as every time he's poisoned, maybe he sees his mom, he hallucinates her. They didn't establish that, but
Yeah.
that could have been interesting.
Yeah, that would have been an interesting way to go too, except you don't need the girl for that. And so basically, did you buy them as being super in love?
No, it seemed more like he needed a distraction and she was just like obsessed.
And she didn't seem to be obsessed at the beginning,
No.
which is okay, except I'd never really understood at what point in the movie did she become completely attached to him? Because we knew that he was going to get disinterested, but I never saw the point where she's like, everything, my dreams have come true. I'm with this amazing man. I love everything, and oh, there it goes.
In fact, it
I never
seemed like
got
she
that.
was having just as many issues because he wasn't giving her attention and he was being eccentric or being annoying. It
Yeah,
never really
your
seemed that she
connection's starting
was.
to freak out.
Uh, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, another aspect of the film that I thought was fantastic was the soundtrack.
Hmm.
I really like those long montages of the piano, especially. I really liked it. I'm meaning to go back and sort of pick out some of my favorite tracks there. Um, but yeah, overall, this is a forgettable movie to me. I flirted with giving it a C. It's just that there's so much good acting in it, and there is quality, but the story doesn't really stack up.
It wasn't horrible.
Yeah, why don't you leave and come back?
Okay.
Um, all right. So what I'm gonna do from here is I'm gonna start going over some news. We have a little bit to go over, about 16 topics here. Um, although they won't take that long. And I wait for Emerson. There he is.
I'm
You here?
back. Yeah.
Okay, you're better. All right, so I'm going to start going over some news here. So, the Black Widow movie is set to come out 2020.
Well, that means it might not even be happening.
Well, I mean, they're saying that it's coming out 2020.
Okay.
So I find that interesting because we know the latest movie we know is okay. There's Untitled Avengers coming out 2019, and the Spider-Man Homecoming sequel 2019. So that might be the first movie. And I think we speculated last week what it could be about. I feel like they could still kill her in Infinity War, and make it
Go
an
back to
origin
her
story.
beginning. Yeah.
That would be interesting. I don't know. I guess it depends where she ends up after when this is all said and done. Um, all right, next topic. The Inhumans series seems to have been quietly canceled.
I heard about that.
Yeah. Um, I don't really care other than I like some of the actors. The show was not good. Not good enough, I should say. One thing that does disappoint me though is in the Marvel comics, there's the Illuminati. Are you aware of them? I
Yeah,
think we
they're
discussed them
good
once.
guys, right?
Sort of. I mean, there's that much power. They're going to disappoint somebody. Um, but basically, the Illuminati is a secret society of the best, strongest, smartest people in the world. And then we're talking about like 8 people. So you have Tony Stark, you have Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four, you have Doctor Strange, you have T'Challa, Black Panther, um, Professor Xavier is 5, and there's Namor, the Atlantean guy, the Submariner,
He's that powerful?
and Namor.
Yeah.
He's a pretty big villain. He's like an anti-hero. Um, and then the last one is Black Bolt from Inhumans. And I'm sure there's like a revolving cast, but the point is it's not that many people. So with Anson Mount, I mean with Inhumans not being a real thing anymore, I wonder if the characters might show up elsewhere.
Hmm.
Or now that the mutants are going to be introduced, I wonder if the Inhumans will sort of get pushed aside. To be honest, I don't really think they're that cool. They should not have gone for a faithful adaptation of the Inhumans. They should have revised it to make them fit into this universe a little bit better. This whole thing with them being on the moon, their secret society, the king. I think you could have really thrown all that out and just made it more of the mutant type thing.
Right.
Um, mutants in the sense of they're people that live among us and they're sort of outcasts, and not make it like they're one circle removed from that, from just being like people who have powers. They're also this secret society that we're supposed to respect, and doesn't really work for me. Also, you run into that problem which we talked about before is a lot of their powers are stupid.
Yeah.
And some comic fans might hate me, but Black Bolt's wife Medusa has hair that moves. Like, it's stupid. um, Black Bolt is kind of cool just because his power comes from speaking, which means that he can't speak. And I like that. That's a cool thing. But you need more layers to the character. Anson Mount did a fine job, but their whole community was not interesting. Um,
Yeah.
Moving on. Black Dynamite 2. It's a teaser.
I heard about
Have
that.
you seen Black Dynamite?
No.
Okay, this is not a superhero thing, although it's an action movie. Okay, it's a funny movie. It's a comedy. Black Dynamite is played by the guy that played Spawn. I gotta watch this movie again. I
I
haven't
know
seen this in
him.
so long.
I know
What's
him.
his name?
I don't remember. I watched the movie on Netflix.
You've seen it?
Yeah. It's not
Michael
very
J.
good.
White. Michael J. He was Gamble. No, of course it's good. It's one of my favorite movies. Are you aware
Okay.
that it's a comedy? It's meant to be a comedy.
I didn't take it
Did,
that way.
okay, it's meant to be a comedy with poor production value. So if you think it wasn't good, it's meant like they like redo takes right in the movie. Um,
Yeah.
like it's okay. So basically, Black Dynamite is it's a '70s. He's like Luke Cage basically, except in the '70s. So he's walking around. He's like the neighborhood hero, and everyone's talking in jive. They're calling each other turkeys and suckas, and like there's one scene where they're in a bar, and one of Black Dynamite's friends punches a henchman, and it's like, it's a movie, but the henchman doesn't care that it's a movie. So when he gets hit in the face, he's like mad. So then he like grabs the guy, Black Dynamite's friend, and then the movie cuts, and then it comes back and they do the scene again, but it's a different guy. It's like shit like that. And there's another one where he's walking around with the girl, the love interest, and he's just walking down the neighborhood, and two girls run up, and she's like, Black Dynamite, Black Dynamite. He's like, hey, girls, what's up? And she's like, my mommy says my daddy's name is Black Dynamite. He's like, hush up, little girl. Plenty of brothers running around with that name. It's just a funny ass movie, and it's got so many stereotypes that are intentional. It's a lot like our Coyote Crew movies, where it's like intentionally making fun of all the stupid shit you see in movies, where
Right.
it takes itself seriously. Dude, I thought it was the funniest movie. So anyway, number 2 is coming out. I'll definitely be interested in that. Can't believe you didn't like it. You should probably rewatch it.
I'm talking about Spawn. You know that.
Oh, no, yeah, I don't care about Spawn. I mean, it was good when it came out. People liked it, but I meant Black Dynamite. You didn't like Black Dynamite?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right. So, moving on. Did you see the set photos of Captain Marvel's outfit?
Yes, the Kree outfit, right?
Yeah, the whole internet went weird because it's a green outfit. And they're like, oh, that doesn't look like, why would they do that, blah, blah, blah. And yes, it's the Kree outfit. That's why it's green. I'm assuming that her regular outfit is going to be just the classic redesign,
Yeah.
just recolored. Some people already did that on the internet and posted like the red and blue version. Um, Whatever, so it's set in the 90s. She kind of looks like she's in a different time period. Her hairstyle is just not contemporary.
Mhm.
So I'm curious to see how that goes. It's so weird that she's such a powerful character, and yet there's been no mention of her at all so
Yeah.
far. All right. So Black Panther, we haven't seen anything in the trailers about his potential love interest.
Yeah.
And in the comics, he marries Storm from the X-Men.
So maybe they're keeping that open.
I wonder if they're keeping it open. Most of these stories have to have a love story. So I wonder because it could be, you assume it's a Dorma Milaje, and in the comics, I think he sort of like rotated those female bodyguards, right?
Mhm.
But I don't know. And what would be the worst thing for them to do?
What?
Imagine if he falls in love with some white woman that's like, how that guy, the Sherlock Holmes guy, or was he Watson? What's his name?
Who?
The Lord of the Rings dude, Bilbo Baggins.
Frodo?
No, Bilbo Baggins from the prequel trilogy. Who played him?
Oh shit.
He was in Civil War.
Yeah, I don't know.
He plays the what the hell is his name? Martin Freeman. I wonder if imagine he like brings a woman, his secretary or something, and people would get pissed if that happened.
Yeah.
I saw a guy, there was like in the Facebook group. This guy commented that he thinks that Eric Killmonger is going to be a weak villain, because typically the weak villains in Marvel that have parallel powers to the hero, like Ironmonger, Yellow Jacket, those people have been largely forgettable. Red Skull. So he's like, I'm afraid that it's going to be one of these guys. I hope they give him a twist that makes him more of a fleshed out character. So what do you think? What do you think an overwhelming response was to that criticism?
I mean, he's right. Cause
Well, some people said you haven't seen the movie yet, which doesn't make sense for the point he made. Some other people said, I think you're right, which is what you said. And then there was a certain minority who called him racist for suggesting that the black villain would that the black villain would not be spectacular. So you heard it here. You better say everything about Black Panther was good, or you might be a racist.
Yes, sir.
God forbid you didn't like that movie. Um, Moving on, Batman casting. Is Ben Affleck still going to be Batman? No one really knows, but some anonymous sources have reported that it's basically a done deal where Jake Gyllenhaal is going to be the next Batman. It's just not clear when that's going to happen.
I still don't
But
know
so
how they're going to do that.
it looks like they've settled on a replacement at least. I mean, we've talked about this before. Honestly, I think that they should reboot with just Wonder Woman. Like Wonder Woman 2 should just be set up the new universe. Problem is, before Wonder Woman 2 comes out, you're going to have Aquaman. So that's sort of all still settled in. And really the only one you need to get rid of is Batman. So maybe it's more of a recasting thing, but the problem is he's old. So do you think they can get away with just a soft reboot where it's just like, yeah, this is a different Batman now?
I don't think so.
I think they could if they don't introduce him as part of the team. I think they introduce him in his own movie, a different Batman. They set the tone, they set the mood of the character, his world, how long he's been doing it. They set all that. And then in the next movie he's just there with the team. And you know what? Fuck it, cuz they messed up so much already. So there's not going to be any clean way unless they do the Flashpoint thing where it's like a different Batman, but then everyone else is the same. It doesn't really make sense.
Hmm.
Flashpoint is when he would go back in time and he would reset the timeline, and so you're like, oh, it's a different Batman now, but it's still Bruce Wayne, or is it? So.
But it's too late for that now.
I don't even think that's a good idea. So anyway, more casting news. So John Krasinski is being rumored for a superhero role, but no one really knows what it is. So for Green Lantern, we think it might be Armie Hammer. If you remember, Armie Hammer was speaking to Henry Cavill a lot. They were hanging out a lot. And
Yeah.
they had that movie together, but this was after that. And I don't know, is Armie Hammer in the new Mission Impossible movie? Because I know that's what Henry Cavill's been working on a lot.
Let's see.
Yeah, I'm looking it up. There's Man from Uncle 2, so it's possible. But I don't think the timeline works for that. Because that movie's being written right now. And we're talking about almost a year ago where they were taking pictures together, hanging out, talking over scripts, stuff like that. So I feel like it could be Armie Hammer's Green Lantern, but John Krasinski is another one who I actually think he could
Yeah.
pull it off, Then the question
Maybe.
is, their other rumor is that he could potentially be Reed Richards from Fantastic Four.
I could
So
see
that
that.
would be a long ways off. Yeah, because he's going to be old enough. You have to assume, how old is he now? I think he has that look. He has the clean cut look for it. He's 38. So if you're gonna push this movie for the next 5 years, he's gonna be around 42, something like that, 43. I think that's a good Reed Richards.
Yeah.
Shit, his wife could play the other bitch, whatever it is, Sue Storm. All right. So what would you prefer? What would you rather see him as?
I think that's the best for him, honestly.
Well, we know which one has more longevity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him as. I think he'd be a great Hal Jordan.
Eh.
and I would love to see him. I'm not as familiar with Reed Richards. Do you buy him as a genius level guy?
I think I could see it. Yeah. He would just
And Reed,
he has to be presented as such.
you know what though? Because The Office does prove that he has that wholesome family guy vibe. Not Family
Yeah.
Guy, the show, but like a family man. He does have that. That's more that's more Reed Richards than Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan is the hotshot guy, which he can do, but at age 42, I don't know. I don't know that
Yeah.
Army Hammer can necessarily do it either, but I feel like DC's, at least Zack Snyder is more interested in um, guys who look buff, which Army Hammer is. So right now, my fan casting would be Reed Richards, John Krasinski. Um,
I agree.
Spider-Man PS4. There's speculation that it's going to have a fall 2018 release date. So I'm going to get a PS4 for that.
Fair
Um,
enough.
there is speculation that Sharon Carter won't appear in Infinity War. Suggests there won't be a love story for Captain America in that one.
I'm fine
Fine
with
by
that.
me. Yeah. Um, the Nightwing director says that there is an update on the movie coming out next month. Great. I don't really care, but sure.
So he gave us an
Um,
update on the update.
yeah. So here's something that you may not be aware of. Most people may not be aware of. So Tom Hardy's playing Venom, right?
Yeah,
And this potentially could be in the MCU, right? You're aware of that too?
potentially.
Okay. They cast who's that guy? Who's the guy that played? Oh, Rez Ahmed. So he played Bodhi in Rogue One, the pilot, the Imperial pilot.
Okay.
So they cast him second after Tom Hardy. And everyone's speculating, is he Carnage? Because they've said that the villain is Carnage, right?
Right.
Okay. So now it's speculating that he might be the scientist that creates the symbiote. Which, if you remember from the comics, the symbiote comes from outer space.
Right.
And I think it might even be tied to the Infinity War storyline. So there was speculation that he's going to bring the symbiote, like Tom Holland Spider-Man will bring the symbiote with him, or somebody will, back from space for an Infinity War or something, and then things pop off in Venom. But it seems like, okay, we know that Rez Ahmed is going to be a scientist of some sort. So, have you heard of who else has been cast in this movie?
No, not at all.
Woody Harrelson.
For who?
Yeah, he's been cast. And we don't know what he's playing. But, I mean, I could see him playing the cop, the neighborhood detective trying to, solve this crap. For all we
Yeah.
know, I mean, I could even see him being like Gwen Stacy's dad or some crap like that. Um, so he might be playing Carnage. And Carnage, are you familiar with Carnage?
He's like the psychopath murderer.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that. I don't know that it's going to be a good movie, but just the fact that Carnage is going to exist. When I was a younger and we were playing video games, there used to be a couple good Spider-Man games. The Carnage level was the scariest. He just was so violent, and the whole thing about him was like Venom on steroids. And just since I was a kid, Carnage has always been that like next level villain. Although I
Yeah.
think from a storytelling perspective, I don't think he's really come through. Um, but Woody Harrelson could do something interesting with that.
I mean, I think he could pull it off.
Okay, so there was a featurette on the new Black Panther suit
Uh huh.
and some of its abilities. So it has vibranium fabric, we knew that. The old one had it too. It has claws, we knew that. It forms out of the necklace he wears around his neck.
I heard about that.
Yeah, that's new. I don't know if I like that, but I wonder if he's gonna share some of that technology with um, Tony Stark,
For
because
Bleeding
Tony
Edge.
Stark's, yeah, he's been like knocking on that door already. Um, it now also has kinetic energy absorption, so he can redirect the blasts that enemies shoot at him. That seems a
Okay.
little, it seems a little too much for the kind of hero
Yeah.
that he is. It's a bit overpowered. I mean, I'm okay with the fact that they can bullets bounce off of him, but the fact that he's going to be like shooting bullets back or whatever, throwing them back, something like that. So I wonder if it's just redirection. That's cool. I could be on board with that because visually, I think that could be very interesting because it's sort of unsafe being around
Yeah.
him. But if it's just like he can control it completely, I don't know about that. Um, the suit is developed by his sister Shuri, who is 16 and said to be smarter than Tony Stark. So she'll probably be a
Okay.
fan favorite. I spoke once about the Wakanda cults, and I couldn't find them, and so I did find them, and I wanted to go over them, just because Eric Killmonger, the villain, does not seem to be part of the established Wakanda cults. So there's the Panther cult. The Panther is the primary deity of Wakanda. Um, It says after the Vibranium meteor fell, a number of Wakandans were painfully mutated into demon spirits and began attacking their fellow Wakandans. T'Challa's ancestor Bashenga became the first Black Panther and closed the Vibranium mound to outsiders, forming a religious order that guarded the mound and fought to keep the demon spirits from spreading across the kingdom. The Black Panther is a ceremonial and religious title given to the chief of the Panther tribe. As part of the cult ceremonies, a chosen Black Panther is entitled to the use of a heart-shaped herb. The herb enhances the physical attributes of the person who consumes it to near superhuman levels, similar to the super soldier serum. Then there's the white gorilla cult, and this is in the movie. Gekri, the gorilla god, is an ancient Wakandan deity. Wakanda evolved from a hunter-warrior society and was traditionally ruled by its greatest warrior. The dominant Black Panther cult outlawed the rival white gorilla cult's worship in Wakanda. M'Baku of the Jabari tribe is one of Wakanda's greatest warriors, second only to T'Challa, the Panther himself. M'Baku is Manape, but I
Hmm.
don't think the movie's going to call him Manape. um, while T'Challa, King of Wakanda, he's the guy, when you see in the trailer, he's like holding up a person and holding up a baton or a spear, and he's big and he's screaming.
Yeah.
That's M'Baku. While T'Challa, King of Wakanda, is on a several-month leave of absence from Wakanda, the ambitious M'Baku plots to usurp the throne. M'Baku flouts T'Challa's edicts and revives the White Gorilla cult, killing one of the rare white gorillas living in the jungle near Wakanda. M'Baku bathes the gorilla's blood and eats its flesh, which mystically confers the gorilla's
Jesus.
great strength upon M'Baku. He tries to defeat T'Challa in combat, hoping to take over the country, but is beaten and banished from Wakanda. I feel like he's going to be the type of villain that is going to be manipulated by the main villain. I don't
Yeah.
see him as a main player. Then there's the lion cult. Sekhmet, the lion goddess based on the deity of the same name, could possess the form of any human worshipper or the bodies of those sanctified and sacrificed by her worshippers. She transformed these subjects into human avatars of herself. She has a number of other powers, some of which she has demonstrated. Sekhmet could grow in size, move at rapid speeds, teleport herself, blah blah blah. She's immortal. It doesn't seem like this is a fully functioning cult. It seems like this is more of like a villain who used to run the cult. She's lost many worshippers over the years due to the cult of the Panther God, despite the fact that Sekhmet physically manifested before its followers, and the Panther God only appears to its priests. Okay. Then there's the Crocodile God, which doesn't have a whole lot, but seems to be forgotten. This is interesting because in the film, it appears that Killmonger is a tiger.
Jaguar.
He's a jaguar or a tiger. He's yellow or gold. Anyway, none of those were named here. So I wonder if they created one for the movie itself.
A new cult. Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting. See how that plays out. Um, okay. So looking at, and this is just my own thing. It's not really news, but looking at Marvel comics, like I've been reading a lot lately, trying to get through
Hmm.
my backlog of comics, and I've been mostly disappointed with what I've got. And the comics that people say are amazing are quite overrated. And I'm a stickler for a good story and over spectacle, and I haven't really seen, a lot of these aren't good. So I read Planet Hulk. Did so basically he's too dangerous to be on Earth. The Illuminati plots, and they blast him in a spaceship, and he's supposed to go to this planet where there's a lot of game for him to hunt, blah blah blah. But he gets sucked into Sakar's black hole or whatever,
Yeah.
and so he lands on Sakar, and he's basically Spartacus. And that whole thing lasts about 2-3 issues, and this is where he meets Korg. Korg is much better as Hulk's friend than Thor's friend. And the Korg in the comics is not. He's more badass than the Korg in the movies, but I like Korg in the movies. But um, the whole gladiator thing, basically Hulk is just really strong and survives where others fail, and then he breaks out, and then it becomes this thing where he leads the people, and he falls in love, and the Empire's after him, and they beat him, and it has a decent ending, but dude, not that great. It's not that great. People act like that's amazing.
Yeah, I've heard it's
Um,
legendary.
so World War Hulk is after he kind of loses everything in Planet Hulk, he comes back to Earth for vengeance. And I haven't read this yet. I feel like that might be a slightly better storyline than Planet Hulk. Um, whatever. I'm looking at a list of like the best Marvel comics. I'm trying to just find something that's good. Kraven's Last Hunt. Have you read that?
No.
So Kraven's Last Hunt is when Kraven the Hunter tries to hunt down Spider-Man. It's more artsy than you would expect from that type of storyline. You expect it to be kind of straightforward, like cat and mouse type story. It's a lot of monologuing by Kraven, just like he has a lot of existential discussions with himself, and it's okay. Like I was just like, this is what everyone is so obsessed with. Um, Born Again, the Daredevil story by Frank Miller. Dude, I bought it. I bought the whole collection, and I returned it. I could barely.
That bad?
It's it was not that it was so bad. It just wasn't that good. I'm like, I can't force myself to read this shit. It's kind of old, and it's just boring. Frank Miller. I don't even think Frank Miller's that great. Like, not that I've done anything so amazing myself, but Frank Miller stuff seems to be widely overrated.
Hmm.
Um, 300 is probably my favorite thing that he's done. Didn't he do the Dark Knight Returns? Again, I think that's overrated. Year One is okay. I don't know, man. Another one is X-Men: Days of Future Past. It's a cool time travel one, but there's too many heroes involved, if you ask me. Also, are you aware of how many X-Men stories are in outer space
How
or
many? I never knew that.
involve like alien stuff? I
No.
like the down to earth. I like the ones where it's a school, and I want to learn about how the mutants sort of come to terms with their powers and interact um, with
The world.
society, and how Professor X leads them, and how that clashes with Magneto. I don't, the I don't know, the time travel, the space travel. I could get over that real fast.
Yeah.
X-Men: God Loves, Man Kills. That's one where like a preacher. It's an old one. That's one where a preacher is against the X-Men. It's a good one. Some of the ones that I have liked are the Captain America run where Bucky returns, the Winter Soldier arc. That sort of mixes with Civil War. Sort of it comes up. It it climaxes with Captain America's assassination. That's a good story. Um, the Civil War one was kind of a letdown.
Yeah.
Um, it, it had good potential. One that sort of worked for me was House of M, but again, House of M is when Scarlet Witch freaks out. She has a mental breakdown and sort of resets the Marvel universe. And so, like, Captain America actually grows to old age. He doesn't get frozen in ice. So he's an old man. There's a bunch of other shit that's weird. Um, they go to Genosha, which is the mutant island world.
Mhm.
I mean, it's stupid. I don't know. Um, it's like the implications are cool, but in the grand scheme, it's just another thing where a lot of weird stuff happens, and I don't know. I did enjoy the Punisher omnibus. Who wrote it? Garth Ennis. He's the guy. That's more down to earth. I like that kind of stuff. So the Winter Soldier stuff is more down to earth. Another one that's great is Alias, which is Jessica Jones. That omnibus was great. There's like sex in it, and she's like dating guys. That stuff is great. Ultimate Spider-Man was great, but again, they kind of undermine it in that. Um, so there's the Ultimate Universe, right? I read the whole thing, and then at the end of the Ultimate Universe, Peter Parker dies. Did you know that?
No.
He dies in the Ultimate Universe. He dies, and Miles Morales becomes Spider-Man. He's a fan favorite. He's black, right? Um, you've heard of him, right?
Yeah, I know who he is.
Okay. So the main Ultimate story, it ends, and then I guess they started another Ultimate Universe with Peter Parker, where it's like a different storyline, but a continuation, but it's a number one issue. So you have to find that one, and you have to read that one, and that's the one where he dies in. It's so confusing. Why are they like this with comics? They just keep
Yeah.
reintroducing stuff. Um, as far as I can tell, there's not really a solid Iron Man comic to be aware
Yeah.
of. Some people will hold the old Fantastic Four ones up. It's like, if you're into the old shit, but we need something new. Um, I've read a couple more modern ones. There's like a Doctor Strange, all new, all strange, or whatever. Doctor Strange, that's funny. I liked it. Wasn't my thing though. There's Ant-Man. It's meant to be take after the comics a little more. Um, Overall, I'm having trouble finding some good stuff. I want to like delve into something that's a little more groundbreaking. Um,
Most of them aren't that good though.
they aren't. DC, in all fairness, has had better ones you could
Mhm.
really sink your teeth into. Um, but what can you say? Um, so for next week, do you want to do that Maze Runner thing?
I mean, if we have nothing else, I'd be happy to.
Okay, the thing is, I haven't seen any of them, so I feel like we should do all three.
Your choice.
I mean, you've seen the first two, I assume, right?
Yes.
So are they worth reviewing? Do you think that's a
I think so, yes. Because it's one of the only book to movie transitions that I enjoyed.
okay? So we'll do the first one of that trilogy next week,
Okay.
and then hopefully it'll be in theaters in 2 weeks, so I can see
Yeah.
it. Um, Ideally, there's some other good movies in the theaters right now that I wanted to check out, but there's just so much going on, and we only do one a week. I might I might not review them like officially. I might just
Mhm.
mention it if I have time to go see it. But some of those will be The Post.
Right.
I think that won't be one we spend a week on. I think I'll just see it. Um, Hostiles with Christian Bale. That's a western.
Okay.
There's The Shape of Water, which I haven't seen yet. There's Lady Bird. Um, I don't know. I guess we'll stick with those Maze Runner movies for the next 3 weeks and see. Then we're gonna have Black Panther. I think it's like 3 weeks away, isn't it?
Yeah.
One, two. Crap. So we're gonna have to do the third Maze Runner by the 24th.
Fine by me.
I just hope it's still around. I don't know if it's still going to be around. That's the problem. A month later. Okay. Oh well. All right. We'll start with that next week.
All right.
All right. I'll see you later.
Bye.
All right. Bye.